Everything Chris. 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 So when you came over, you mentioned Atiba, he's the one that got you on the team. Was he a player coach at the time, right?
Yeah, it was only his second year as a coach. He had started off just as a player and then player coach. And it was interesting because I had never played with a guy who had been player coach before.
Yeah.
And Atiba was only about 6 months older than me. So it was just like, it was, a lot different from what I was used to. Usually used to just like an older guy coach on the sideline. Whereas Atiba was more, you could, he was good. He was still learning, and having to like doing the learning curve while you're playing as well. There was, he had a lot going on. So I always take my hat off to him during those days, because I don't think I could ever do that. Guys like Atiba and like Fab Flournoy, like I don't see, like, to see what's going on the floor while you're playing on the floor and like make corrections and then also make subs and like call plays. Like there's a lot going on. So I always respect that big time. But yeah, Atiba, I have a lot of respect, and I got to give up my hat off to Atiba, because he's the reason I'm here and why I've been here for so long. And, we work well together, and I appreciate everything that he's given me.
So what kind of differences did you experience with him being a player coach and then him transitioning to just a coach?
Yeah, well, I tell the young guys on the team now, like, you didn't get to experience the old Atiba. Like, I got to experience the fiery, like, young, like, pissed off Atiba. Whereas he's a little bit more laid back now. But I think back then when he was playing, and we had such a solid team those like first 2 seasons, that he would, he didn't have to do too much coaching, to be honest. We had a lot of guys that were solid players, and he took everything on board. When guys had suggestions, he was very open to that type of thing. And then, he transitioned into just the coaching side, and he's been great, man. Like it's interesting because I've been here for 11 years now, so I've kind of watched him grow up as a coach, and I've watched him develop and kind of refine his game. So he's a lot. What he is now is a lot different from what he is, let's say 3-4 seasons ago, to like 3 seasons before that. He's definitely developed in all areas. So it was great to see that progression.
Okay, and you said he's the reason you stayed at Sheffield so long. What's the reason
Well,
behind
he's the coach, and between him and Sarah Bakovich, the GM, they make all the personnel decisions, and they, the Sharks have been great to me, man. They, when I first got here, I thought it was going to be one and done, because of the start of my pro career had been a bit kind of
shaky,
up and down. Yeah. And like you're going to different places every year, and you don't really know where the next job's going to be. And then to have that kind of stability here, we won the cup that first year, and then they asked me to come back the next year and offered me, a decent contract. And it was kind of winning that first year, and the situation and the environment here, the people, the club, it's very like family-like atmosphere. I couldn't say no. And then, after that, met my girl here. We moved in together. It's been a great experience, and I can't believe it's been over 10 years now. It's just the time is
flown by, isn't it? Any children?
Not yet.
Soon, right.
Soon. Don't worry.
No worries, man. So fast forward a little bit, or we'll go to another subject. Is the Commonwealth Games. You played there with Drew, so he told me his perspective on it. What was
Drew? Yeah, he was my roommate. He was my roommate, man.
Was your roommate? Yeah.
Yeah. He was the roomie, man. That's my guy. That was an incredible experience. One of the ones that I'll never ever forget. And I remember, getting the letter in the mail saying, you've been selected with I think it was like 75 other guys, and are you available to come down to the are you available to come to the tryouts? So they did 2 trials, which obviously made it through both, and then got selected for the final team, and then then we were off to Australia, and it was just like the whole thing, just like the way it was run. First off, going to Australia, that was cool. Country I've never been to, place I've always wanted to go to, and then just being there and like the whole vibe, and like Drew was talking about, when you're in the village, it's insane. Like you're walking around, you're recognizing certain athletes. You're like, oh my god, that's that guy, that's that guy. And then the energy there is like, people are like, you can see like people are just into their zone when they're there. And when you're in there's such a sense of community when we were in our tower block, because it was essentially where the village was built, it was all brand new, and they were building dorms for the university, but they had all these different towers, and each tower was a different country. So we were in our England tower, and it was just to be in there, and you're walking around, and there's a little pool out back in a common area, and like you're talking to different people, like you're seeing what's going on, and when people win, about it, so you're like they're walking into the building, you're cheering, or there was just there was such a good vibe and sense of community there. And then there's like common areas where you go and see all the other athletes, or when you go to the cafe to eat, you're just walking around, you're like, oh man, you're like, I just saw that guy on TV last night, or like we went and watched his run this today, and they would give you free tickets to different events. So we were trying to go watch as many events as possible, and just get out that experience. Yeah, and then you're on the Gold Coast, surfer's paradise. So like we were going down to the beach, hanging out. Me and Andrew Thompson from Leicester Riders, we were surfing like a couple of the days. Like, there's 2 big huge white guys on surfboards. Yeah, and then at nighttime, you would go and have a few beers. One of the clubs we used to go to, Usain Bolt was there every night. So it was just like unreal, like who you're rubbing elbows with, and just the overall experience playing in it, and vibing and meeting people, and when we were in the pre-camp stuff, like talking to different athletes and then seeing their process and how they prepared for games, or how they prepared for their sport, and seeing how, the physiotherapy room and how like advanced all that kind of stuff was. It was a pleasure to be a part of. And the cherry on top was I got named captain of the team while we were at the event.
Oh man, how was that?
Yeah, it was crazy. I mean, obviously me being Canadian and stuff, so I was kind of just like, I didn't know or whatever, but I've always, considered myself British, and I've always embraced that part, of me. And when we went down to the camp or everything, I guess I just had a really good impression. Obviously, I was one of the older guys on the team there, and I'd been captain at the Sharks for so many years before that. So I think that Coach Andreas he saw that in me, and he trusted me with that. And but it wasn't all me. Like we had like a leadership group with Drew Lasker and then Orland Jackman. So it was kind of like the 3 of us kind of being the leaders of the team. But it was like I said, man, just to be there and be involved was incredible. Unfortunately, we didn't get any silverware, but just that's something that I'll never forget, and nobody can ever take away.
No man, that's dope, man. And then came back. What did you take from that experience? You learned to be more focused coming into the next season.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think like I said, seeing other athletes and the way they were like tuning up for things, and then also seeing like the process of the preparation that went into the games and stuff, learning from that coaching staff that we had with us. Being on the Sharks for so many years, you kind of get used to the same vibe and the same thing. So it was nice to be kind of thrown into a different pond and kind of see, how different people operate. And then also to see like the different guys on the team who are, most of them are from around the BBL. Like, usually you're going head to head against these guys, and then you get to like play alongside them. So that was a cool vibe as well, learning how everybody operates and works. Yeah, the biggest thing I probably took away was the preparation that it takes to win at that level.
That's dope, man. So I'll backtrack a little bit. How did you adapt to the South Yorkshire life compared to coming from Canada? How did you adapt to that? I
Hey,
know
yo,
Sheffield's a different culture. I used to live in Leeds, so I'm kind of familiar with Yorkshire a little bit, but
yeah.
Sheffield's different. So how did you adapt to that whole Sheffield culture?
Now then, yeah, that Paul.
Oh yeah, yeah. Right, Doc. You're right, Doc.
Yeah, that talk. It's been great, man. I mean, Sheffield people are the salt of the earth. They're, this super friendly, super nice. Um, and the Sheffield as a city is great. A lot of young people here, two universities, so yeah, a lot
Yeah,
of good
there is.
restaurants. It's a big city, but not huge. I think that's one of the big draws is that I come from a huge, Toronto, big, huge
Exactly.
city, where it takes you like an hour just to drive over to your buddy's house. So like here, everything's, 10, 15 minutes away and
That's a
super
luxury there.
easy. Yeah, man. It's not like London, it's not the hustle bustle, but it still has that city vibe. So
Yeah,
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 I
yeah,
love
yeah.
it here.
That's dope, man. So we go back to your winning resume. So you said you won the BBL Cup twice. Which one of those two wins you think was more gratifying for you?
Oof, interesting. I, I mean, they were both great. The first year obviously was like with Mike Cook and that group, and that was probably the most important because it was my first one there.
Yeah,
But the second one, the back-to-back one, was with like Steve D'Agostino, Paul Williams, Marcus Stout, Ryan Patton.
yeah,
That one was probably because it was back-to-back and because I had been there from the beginning of the season, I felt like I kind of earned that one more, whereas the other one I kind of hopped onto the team, halfway through. So
yeah.
probably the second one was a little bit more important. It was a good one. We beat Mersey Tigers with Tony Garbaletto
Oh,
that
that
year.
team. Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
Merseyside.
They
And they
were they
became
were tough
Everton
that year.
Tigers.
Yeah, they were tough. So we squeaked that one out, and then we actually met them again in the playoff final that season as well. We ended up losing to them. So that
Oh,
was
you lost to them in the playoff final. Oh, yeah.
yeah, 2010, 11. We
So who did you beat in the playoff final? Because you won that once as well, right?
Yeah, so 2016 we beat Leicester Riders down at the O2. So that was
Whoa,
yeah, that was a
the
big one.
powerhouse.
Yeah,
Ah,
man. Yeah, they really picked up um ever since they moved into the new venue, and even before that they really picked their game up. And that year we had finished fourth in the league, and then they had finished first, and then we ended up getting through to the final, and that was just as sweet of a victory. Down at the O2, my mom had flown over from Canada.
yeah.
My girl, I had all my British side of the family was there. A few of my friends were
You had to
there.
go to work.
Oh man, yeah. And then that was another one. I had a big game. I had a big double that game, and ended up taking home MVP honors for that match. So yeah,
You
that
got
was
MVP as well.
yeah,
Congratulations
that
on that one.
was one of my definitely between that and going to the Commonwealth games, those are two of my favorite basketball moments for sure.
And how was that getting the MVP? Was that a shock to you, or was you prepared
Yeah,
for
I
it?
mean, there was a couple guys like Gerald Brooks had a really big game that game as well, but I finished with 20 points and 13 rebounds, 4 assists. So I wasn't expecting to get it, but I ended up getting it, and I think you can see when you look at the tape when they announce my name, I'm like, and then go up and get it. So yeah, big moment for me, and just proud moment.
Oh man, that's good, man. That's dope.
Yeah.
Everything, everything Chris. Everything Chris. Everything Chris. Everything Chris.